We're going to be doing a few things on our About Us page. And specifically, I want to share with you how you can control container order. WordPress allows you to easily refine your layouts at the various screen sizes, and you can reorder elements, which in some cases can be extremely useful. Let's take a look at our About Us page, and then in the next few videos, we'll be adding some additional compelling things to this page. First, I just want to show you a few things that I've done on this page. Most of the techniques I'm using are things that we've done in the past, but I did want to point out a few particular elements. Here's the About Us page, and this is what it looks like at the large screen. We'll be adding some additional content, but I did want to draw your attention to the employee area. As you can see, I'm highlighting each of the employees, and I've added a custom background color along with some text and an image. As the screen gets smaller, the layout will continue to be this two-column layout within this section, but when we get to the small screen, you can see how the text is going to appear above the image. And this is true for all of the elements. I'll quickly jump into WordPress and show you how I went about creating this portion of the web page. I've already set up a new pattern, and this is the two-column box. So as you can see, this is simply a container, and within the container, I have a column that has a heading and some text, as well as a column that has an image. I did go ahead and put a background color on the overall container, and this is going to make it really easy for me to change this background color as I make additional two-column boxes for my various employees. I also want to point out that as I was making this, I was conscientious of how this was going to work at the different screen sizes. So if we click on any of these elements that allow us to look at the page at tablet and at mobile, I could make sure to dial in the spacing and how I wanted the elements to adjust based on the screen size. Let's go into our pages. And for this demonstration, I'm going to work on a page that I've created called Temp. The Temp page currently looks just like the About Us page, except that I did not add any of the employee information. On this page, I'll hide the default page title. I'm going to go ahead and add our hero pattern, and I've changed the background and the messaging. And then I've made a container that just contains stacked elements that consists of a heading, a separator, a paragraph, and a button. I'm also using our pattern for our CTA banner, and all I've done here is changed the messaging, changed where the link went, and adjusted the background color and used a different repeating background image. And then I have the introduction to my employee section, which is simply a one-column container with a heading and a paragraph. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the plus sign, and I'll go to Patterns, My Patterns, and I'm going to select my About two-column boxes. And as you can see, it's going to enter this in. I'll just go ahead and enter 3 of these, so we'll be able to take a look at how this works at the mobile size. Obviously, the first one is exactly what I want it to be. And in order to keep things organized here, I simply renamed these. So I called the first one Employee Tests. And I really find that it helps my process if I keep my list view nice and organized. This will allow me to easily be able to identify the various things on the page and make adjustments to those elements. If everything has the same name, it gets a little confusing regarding what something is. So if you take the time to stay organized, it's going to really help you later on. I'll go ahead and quickly update the text. The second employee is going to be about Clyde. So I'm going to update the text. I'll come to the image. I'll replace the image, go to my media library, and choose the appropriate image. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to just change this background color. So I'm going to select the Employee Clyde container. I'll go to my sidebar over here on the right and go to Style, and then I can simply change the color. So I'm going to use the brick red for this particular employee. I'll do the same thing down here on the last one. So let me just quickly update the text. I'll update the picture, and then I'll select the employee container, and under style, I'll change the background color. So you can see once you take time to do this, this comes together really quickly. However, I want every other employee to be in a different order. For Clyde, I want the image on the left and the text on the right. Again, this is really easy for us to adjust because all we have to do is go into the Clyde container, grab the second container, which contains the image, and drag it above the first. This will very quickly rearrange these. So you can see if I have a number of these employees, I'm able to do this really quickly. Let's go ahead and save the page, and then I want to show you what this looks like in the front end. I'm going to click this button right here to view the page. So this is what our page looks like, and I've only done 3 employees. Obviously, in my final example, I had a few others. I'm going to go ahead and change this to a tablet view. So I'll adjust my screen size down, and you can see this is what it looks like in the tablet. And then the final thing is at the mobile size, you can see that the order of these things is not in the correct order because our first employee shows the text and then the image. Our second employee, because we reversed the order of these containers, shows the image and then the text. So we want to be able to adjust this. Let's go back into WordPress. I'm going to select the second container, and then we're going to go into the layout section. If you've ever worked with CSS Flex or Grid, this section should make a lot of sense to you. It also is worth mentioning that these containers are part of the Spectra plugin that we installed. These are not the choices that we get by default with the WordPress block editor. The Spectra editor is going to give us a little bit more control. If we look at the page at the large screen, everything looks great. Remember, if we go down to mid-screen, it still is looking pretty good on our page. However, when I move down to the small screen or the mobile size, this is where the problem occurs. You can see that the text is going to appear above the image for our first employee, but as I mentioned before, the second employee, because we rearranged these 2 internal containers, the image displays first and now the text. So what we want to do is we want to swap that. So at this small screen size, I'm simply going to click column reverse. This will allow the text column to appear first and then the image. And obviously the third one is following the same pattern that we created on the first one. Every other container that I insert onto my page, I'm simply going to have to select the container, go to the mobile layout, and reverse the column order. This will take care of that problem. Now you should have a good idea of how I've created all of the elements that I have on the About page so far. You can see when my page displays at the mobile screen size, all of my employees display with the text first and then the image. And this is how I want this page to look at small screen. At the mid-size screen, we keep our 2-column layout, and of course, that is also how it's going to look at the large screen. I think you'll find that being able to make these fine adjustments will allow you to build a web page that functions in the exact way that you envision.